Coming up next, another live panel in which we will explore further and exchange ideas on the startups topic. Innovation Director of Arçelik, Pınar Köse Kulacz, will join us once again, but this time she will also be moderating the session. And our valued participants are Dr. Ayşegül Özkavukçu from Migros Up, Funda Çetin from Tüpraş, Tuba Gökçan from Anadolu Efes, and Thomas Krotkiewski from Engage.
Welcome to our panel. We're going to talk about working with startups, walking with startups. And I have with me esteemed guests, our panel members who've been pronounced Dr. Ayşegül Özkavukçu from Migros, Funda Çetin from Tüpraş, Tuba from Anadolu Efes, and Thomas Krotkiewski from 3Engage, the only startup founder among us. Welcome again on my behalf. So we're going to have a very engaging conversation, and we have really short time. So let's show how we can do it the startup way. No, I'm just kidding. So let's have it a go. You have heard our story. As Arçelik, this is really dear to our hearts. We have been working with startups, but we would like to do better. I mean, we know that there are ways that we can all improve. But there are numbers out there. So there is a platform called Innovation Leaders, and they have done a survey among more than 300 large corporates, and 48% of them said they did not know how to work with startups. They knew something like startups existed. They knew that those startups had good ideas, but they really didn't know how to work with them. That's quite striking, 48%. That's a serious number. And if you look at the last numbers, just from last year, 2021, Startups Watch declared that the investments went almost twofold, so increased 93%, up to $643 billion globally. That is also a striking number. And you know how many unicorns we had last year? 390 of them. And we always talk about Fortune 500, right? There are 390 unicorns just last year. So we really need to acknowledge that those startups do exist, and they do exist in the same ecosystem with us, and we need to collaborate. So I think we have no other way. But hey, let me ask the very first question to each one of you. Ayşegül, what does startup friendly mean to you? Shortly, in one sentence.
Okay, thanks for asking. I think a startup-friendly company should listen that startup and should understand the changing needs. Needs are changing. I think that's the challenge. We should always aware of changing environments. One sentence.
Okay, thank you so much. Funda, what's your take on this?
Great, but I will speak like 2-3 sentences. Well, first of all, because I need to mention that at a startup-friendly company, from the interns to C-levels, everyone should understand and acknowledge the importance of engagement in startups. So you need the internal buy-in, right? And overall, startup-friendly company approaches to startup with empathy. They should be open, be an efficient supporter and enabler, along with giving startups the freedom. And it's very important for companies to reflect lessons learned, to continuously improve starting engagement processes, and they should train their employees accordingly.
Tuba, what's your take on this?
Yeah, thank you, Pınar. So actually, with only 2 words, I can say that being startup friendly means being super empathic, especially while working with them. So thinking like a startup and behaving like a startup in the collaboration process. And beyond that, actually, as Anadolu Efes, being startup friendly means for us actually supporting them, collaborating with them, developing with them, through a long journey, because the real friendship is always with you through a long journey of your life, and sometimes to support you, and sometimes actually to challenge you for a better version of you. And this is what we do with startups.
Thank you so much. And Thomas, as the only startup founder among us, the corporates, so what is your take on this? How do you define a startup friendly company from the lenses of a startup founder?
Well, I think, a lot of potential customers that I meet, small and big companies alike, often don't really listen. They're not ready to be interested. I think that's what's missing. So I hear that, oh, no, we don't need what you're offering, but I haven't even had the chance to explain it to them. So being interested, open, and ready to listen and have a little bit more patience because you won't know, exactly what I'm offering because you haven't done it before.
Okay, that's pretty interesting, actually. Uh, Tuba, I'm going to turn back to you because you said something really interesting when you were defining startup friendly. You said that you're actually going on a journey with them and you need to keep supporting them. So, in your opinion, what are the best ways to collaborate and what kind of supports corporates can provide to startups?
Yeah, actually, by the way, Thomas says was so interesting for us, and it is also relevant for us because startup collaboration is not a short journey. So it starts with the listening them very well, and then it really actually requires a sustainable relationship. So as an office, we don't categorize startups as early stage or scale ups, and we just don't define actually we work with these kind of startups and with these ones they're out of scope of us. So we collaborate with the startups that the ones actually that working our innovation focus areas, and then that we can develop them, we can support them, and then also they can add value to us. So the support mechanisms could be very different according to the level of the startup. So it could be the mentorship, the network reach, the communication support, sometimes seed funds, sometimes having POC with them, or maybe they're so early stage and we can do the R&D support. Sometimes we just buy their products, but sometimes we just actually build the product together. So, for example, Pabinno was one of the very earliest examples that we collaborated with them, and then we created the product together, we developed it together, and then right now actually it's a global startup that is selling to the global beer brands also, and they are right now actually one of our 7 startups that's shown as the CB Insights that disrupting the bar technologies. So it's a big proud of us. And for example, Blind Look is one of other startup that we are collaborating. And actually, when we started to work with them, they were just newly formed. Actually, they were just at the beginning of their life, and we just make a communication campaign for them to be aware of people actually what blind look means and what they are doing and what will be the impact actually if they succeed to their business, and then that make a greater awareness actually for other corporations, and they started to work with them. So it was a small support maybe for us, but it had a greater impact for that because they were so at early stage. And the last example that I want to explain is about the e-coding. E-coding is doing the seed ball shooting through eco drones for the climate crisis. And actually we met with them 4 years ago, but last year we had a great campaign with them with our one of our products. So we bought their products, and by this way actually we had 3 million seed balls actually together for the climate crisis. So as a summary, so there's no one solution or one mechanism to support or collaborate with the startups. It should be evaluated according to the levels of the startup and the needs. So the listening very well and understanding them in a very empathic way is so crucial in that manner.
Thank you, Tuba. Thank you so much. We'll get back to your notes. Thomas, my next question is for you. This is going to be slightly provocative. So, is there a culture clash between new generation startups, corporates, white collar, and in betweens? I mean, is that an urban legend? Like people talk about this, you know. So, and if it exists, how to overcome it?
Great question. I'm not really sure if it's a question of culture, because to me, being able to navigate cultural differences is more of a social skill. Like we have customers in different countries, each with their different styles of being and managing. So that's not really the issue. I think the big issue is that as an innovative startup, we're doing something new, something that you as a corporate haven't bought before, let's say, or used before. And so even if the head of innovation loves our company and our idea, that doesn't really help, because then we get into the purchasing department. The purchasing department says, oh, 90 days payment terms, or you don't fit our criteria because you have no track record. And then we get an agreement from the legal department, which is very one-sided or almost suicidal for us to sign. Then the project starts, and we start with working with the department, and the department has never worked with this topic before, so there are delays. So I think it's more a question of structure, processes, and systems rather than culture. So I think what one might consider, and I heard from the previous speakers, the idea of having some sort of a fast track onboarding route for startups. That would be a good solution. And just to spread this freedom to be flexible and give your people the tools and freedom to be flexible when it comes to working with startups. I think that's the key issue, more than culture. Culture can be, you just have to be open.
Okay, thank you, Thomas. I indeed agree. Culture is extremely abstract, but when you talk about processes, so you can really nail down the problems. So let's move on to Funda. Funda, we're all from different walks of life and corporate world. So you come from Tüpraş. It's a company where people might consider would be pretty difficult to run an innovation team or innovation functions. So and it's a very complex and large plant, and you're very focused. It's a refinery after all. So, given this reality, how do you find the startups that you want to collaborate with? And how do you ensure the collaboration in that environment, in that setting?
Mhm. Well, yes, we have very large plants, as we are the seventh largest refining company in Europe. We have metal intensive and limited zone free areas. Yet I'm happy to say that we carried out 17 POCs last year on various areas such as image processing to digital twins, wastewater treatment technologies to energy harvesting solutions. Pınar, we're very actively scouting the technologies worldwide through multiple channels, and over 80% of startups that we collab are located abroad. We have an open innovation group from different departments to coordinate POCs and pilots. And we don't expect startups to address our needs right away, because almost always it cannot be the case. If the solution improves our current operations, we can wait up to a year. If it's a future growth area like green hydrogen, we can wait, much more longer than that. And during that time, we're helping them to scale up. Our technical experts allocate time for them to improve their solution. We partner with them, we co-develop the solution. And even if it is a small POC, we set the scope, the success criteria, so that parties accept what is next if the criteria are met. And I need to mention that openness is a must. A startup-friendly company doesn't make startups wait, right? So it is okay to say we're not interested. We always ensure that we give open and honest feedback to startups. And lastly, I need to say that our interest areas are really capital intensive and hard to scale areas. So we need to contribute startups' growth by all means and accelerate their market time. And for that, we invested in Emerald Technology Ventures nearly 2 years ago. And we recently announced that we will directly invest $15 million to international startups until 2030. And apart from that, of course, we will be looking at Turkish startups to invest as well.
Thank you, Funda. I'm gonna go to Ayşegül all the way back. Ayşegül, you recently had a launch, and that was really interesting. I participated partly, and it was a great experience, I can tell. So you launched a new product, Wamo, and with a
Yes.
startup, and you are probably one of the most experienced among us to kickstart co-innovation projects and lead them successfully. So, what is your take on this? So, what were the perks and perils, so to say, in the co-innovation journey that you can share with us?
Mhm. Thanks, Pınar again. I think corporates should, at the very beginning, set the strategic goal of while they are working with startups. Our strategy was the co-innovation. So this is a really huge ecosystem. So we should focus on why, because working with startup while we are working with them, we should be fast as well as fast as we can. So this co-innovation is a really unknown journey, a very rough road. But I can proudly say that both success and failure are welcome. Because we all know that we will learn at last. So while we are conducting co-innovation, I think a collaborative environment is so crucial, and there are some main characteristics of them. We all know we should create an open communication. We should be transparent. We should create some teams. We should be team with the startups, and we should share the same goal, and sure, we should set a very systematic way. In Migrosap, we set these, and we thought that we found the new way of innovation together with startups. And first of all, we build an agile team where both startups and the Migros experts are in the same team, and they share the same goal. And we have just 3 months to run that goal. And another key is that I want to share with you, we are not acting as a customer supplier type relationship. We are acting as a teammates with the startups. So that brings a trust based relationship. And also, uh, uh, sharing that vision in just for 3 months creates some dedication and increases the focus while decreasing the uncertainty, while co-innovation consists of high levels of uncertainty. I think the biggest disadvantage is that I think co-innovation projects have a bit higher level of uncertainty when we compare them with the traditional innovation projects, because we also engage with the startups while we are working with our colleagues. And yes, you said that the WAMO, I think it's a unique experience for us. In our first year at Migrosap, we conducted 6 co-innovation projects like that. And with Hergela Mobility team, we created an agile team, and this agile team consists of the designers, planners, producer, and decision maker, and even user. Think about the new product team like that. So we just reached our MVP in just 1.5 months, and now till at the end of May, I think about 50 Vamos will be working in our distribution centers. Is a new kind of vehicle where we employ the electrical motors like electrical scooters in our distribution centers, and we aim to use that vehicle in our distribution centers while we are collecting the orders of our stores. But that's not the end of the story. We all want to commercialize this Vamo vehicle with Hergele team globally. And so I'm very super excited because these are all new for our system.
Thank you, Ayşegül. I wish you all
You're
the
welcome.
best. So I'm sure that we can
Thank you.
talk for days about this, but we are given a short time. So I'm going to wrap up. I really appreciate your participation and your honest and candid answers. So I'll just share with you my key takeaways from each one of you. So first of all, what is common is that we need to keep being open. So that is one thing. Keep being open, listen, stick to the journey because this is a journey. And please take care of your processes when you're working with startups. So go back to startup time and don't waste anybody's time. So that is the last thing. And co-innovation is a rock road, but it is possible, and it is possible if you conjoin your forces in a single agile team. So let's not forget about this. We walk with startups, we work with startups. Thank you very much. Back to you, Cenk. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There will be a video question. All right, so we have a video question. Wonderful.
I have a question for you. What are the differences between corporates and startups in terms of innovation processes? And what are the advantages and disadvantages of these two cultures in such a rapidly changing world, and how they can overcome the disadvantages? Thank you for your answer in advance. Thank you.
Hello there. I was very happy to get a video question. So there is engagement. So that means the topic is interesting. So I will actually ask two of my friends here to give an answer to this question. I'll actually ask first Thomas, because he can give us the startup point of view. And I'll hear just two short sentences from Ayşegül and Tuba. Thomas, can you please give us the startup point of view? How do startups innovate? And what do you think is the main difference?
I think that a startup there is an equal sign between innovation and a startup. We had an idea, we developed it, but we need to continuously reinvent ourselves all the time. Like, there is no end to innovation. So I think it's kind of like the main function. Once we stop doing that, that's when we're not supposed to be called a startup anymore, right? So I think that's the main difference.
Brilliant answer. Ayşegül and Tuba, very shortly, what's your take on this question? Tuba.
Let me jump in. Sorry.
Please,
Please, after you.
Okay, let me jump in again. I think we are all innovators. There is no huge difference, in my opinion. All our resources are melting by time. But I think we as have advantage of testing our new products or services in our systems. But startups, I think, need this kind of environment where we all serve for startups in our micro subsystem.
Okay. And Tuba,
I think the vice
shortly,
versa.
what is your take?
Yeah, Pınar, I think the vice versa. I think there is difference, and the biggest difference is the time to market. And as corporates, we need to imitate from startups, so we need to learn from them.
Okay, thank you so much. Quick question: startup equals innovation. Corporates, we need to learn from them. The biggest difference is time to market, so we do innovate different ways. Thank you very much. Once again, I'm going to hand the word over back to Cenk, and thank you very much for your active participation.
Thank you.
Yeah.